Well, hello my dear viewers, welcome to Brainiac. In today's video, we are going to focus on the origin of the planetary model and spectrums, part 2. As I said, this series is a saga, and a saga means a 4-part video. And do not miss a single part, so you will, if you miss a single part, then you will have trouble in understanding the origin of the planetary model and spectrums. And today we are going to focus on the hydrogen spectrum and how it originated. And also we are going to talk about a great scientist, and also we are going to talk about the improvement of his formula. So without any further delays, let us go into the video. And before going into the video, this video is brought to you by Learning Mind Zone. So as we saw in our previous video, here is where we stopped. We had the light source. The light source fell on the ground state atoms, and then due to the presence of light, they got excited and went to a higher energy level state. And then after a short while of time, they return back to their ground state. So this is where we stopped, and I also introduced you to the basics of spectrum yesterday. So let us go into a deep analysis of a spectrum. Okay, in the next step of the video, now we are going to go into a deep analysis within the spectrum. So here you have a normal light source. Consider a torchlight, and if light passes through this, then you can keep a prism here. Then what comes on the other side of the prism is the continuous spectrum, as you see here. So we got a continuous spectrum. But what happens when you send this light through this cloud of gas or a cloud of atoms? Now carefully watch this point. When light travels through the cloud of gas, these atoms which is present in the cloud of gas, they absorb light and they go to the excited level. So when they absorb this light, they put away some away. The residue of the energy is obtained, and if you keep a prism in front of it, if you keep a prism in front of the residue energy, then you will get this absorption spectrum. Now in this absorption spectrum, there you see a small difference. What difference is that there are some empty spaces in this spectrum. All these empty lines represent the absorbed energy which help the atoms to reach an excited level. So it does not occur in this stage permanently. So what happens is, at one time the excited electrons, they release off this energy. So when you keep a prism directly near the released energy, it will release you an emission spectrum. So here with the now guess, like I give you in a basket full of rabbits, kittens and puppies. You consider there are hundreds of you, and I am giving you a basket full of puppies, kittens and rabbits. Now imagine that you all love puppies. So you take the puppies away and give away the rabbits and cats. So when you give away the rabbits and cats, they are the residue of that cluster. So that residue is similar to the absorption spectrum here. So now you keep the puppies, but you can, if you cannot maintain the puppies for a long time, you give away to another owner. You imagine that you are giving them to another owner. So when you are giving those puppies to another owner at the same time, it is similar to the emission spectrum. It means the atoms already had absorbed some energy and it was keeping it within them, but it was not able to hold those energy for a long time. So what happened was, these electrons started to emit this energy back. So already the residue energy went away, but the remaining energy which was earlier absorbed by the electrons or the atom now get released, and they portray in the form of a emission spectrum. So as a quick recap, if you keep a prism in front of a light emitting source, it emits a continuous spectrum. But if you take light in front of a cloud of gas or a cluster of atoms, it Some of the atoms absorb some energy and put the rest away. When the rest are put away, when the residue energy is put away, it releases a absorption spectrum. In absorption spectrum, there are some empty lines. Those empty lines represent the absorbed energy that is missing from the cluster. And then if you consider the excited electron, means the electrons or the atoms which already have absorbed the necessary energy from the earlier given energy. So now they cannot hold the energy for a longer time, so they start releasing the energy one by one. So at that time a 7-color band in a line spectrum is formed, that is known as a emission spectrum. Some people, now you might ask, why atoms absorb only this specific energy but not the others? This if you got this question, please give a applause for yourself. Only brainy people get the idea. This question. Okay, now you might wonder that I am introducing a new thing called Barmer into the video. Barmer is not something else or a thing or a planet. Yes, it's a planet's name, but do you know how the planet got its name? Now, Balmer was a great scientist, and this is scientist Balmer. He was the first person to to do tests on a hydrogen-based spectrum, the hydrogen spectrum. So that's our next topic. We are going to do a deeper analysis on the hydrogen spectrum. But before introducing you all to the hydrogen spectrum, I wanted you to introduce you to the founder of the hydrogen spectrum. That is no one else, it's only Balmer. So his achievements was finding the hydrogen spectrum, and he was a mathematician. Now if I say the third point, most of you all would run away, because do we know Balmer made the formula for wavelength? That means lambda equals h into m squared over m squared minus n squared. Those who think of running away after seeing this equation, please leave your comment in the comment box below. And now let's go into hydrogen spectrum. So when considering the hydrogen spectrum, they are not going to take the hydrogen atom physically, but they are going to take the protium isotope. Now you already know that hydrogen has 3 isotopes: protium, deuterium and tritium. And the lightest one of these 3 isotopes is the protium isotope. So it has 1 electron and 1 proton. H isotope is the protium. So this protium was used to analyze the hydrogen spectrum by Balmer. So to do an analysis, we have to imagine a line spectrum with different wavelengths. Just imagine you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 colored line spectrums you have in front of you right now. Imagine that you are Balmer and you are working with the protium atom, the protium isotope, to observe the line spectrum, and you have different wavelengths of all these 7 colors. You name them as lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4, lambda 5, lambda 6 and lambda 7. Lambda stands for wavelength. Okay, so using all these 7 different wavelengths, can you construct a formula? Don't ask me to do it because I am little terrible at my mathematics. So what am I going to do? How can we construct a formula using 7 different wavelengths? Do you know what? We no need to go into further or deeper analysis into the formula, because already Balmer in the 1800s, I think 1855, he found the formula for lambda. So this was the Balmer formula, and in the Balmer formula 1 over lambda is the wavelength number, and 109667 is a constant. You have to have a constant in every formula, and there was a certain rule in this formula is that the n value here inside the bracket you see 1 over 2 squared minus 1 over n squared. In this formula always n should be greater than 2. If n is less than 2, or n can be even n cannot be equal to 2 also, but if n is less than 2, it results the lambda in a negative answer. Wavelengths cannot be negative, so any physical quantities cannot be a negative value. So always there was a certain rule saying that always n should be greater than 2, and also the unit he gave for this formula is centimeter inverse. Now there was a like a drawback of the equation, to say that it was only valid for a visible spectrum, and typically for human beings 400 nanometers to 700 nanometers is the visible spectrum range. That is the visible light we can see. Beyond that also there are electromagnetic radiation like the infrared or the ultraviolet. So for those type of radiations this equation was not valid. For that Rydberg, a scientist after many years after Balmer, he developed on he improved the Balmer's formula. So as I said, the equation was corrected by Rydberg, like I think in the 90s. So if you want to know more about the Rydberg's correction of the formula, you have to watch part 3 of our video, which comes to you tomorrow. So until we meet in our tomorrow's video, I mean part 3 of this video, this is me Brainiac signing off from you, and thank you for watching this video. And if you like this video, please put a thumbs up, and also do not forget to subscribe to Brainiac. Learning is fun. And also do not forget to subscribe to Funfetti Kitchen. They are making quite impressive and tasty and delicious recipes these days, because it's going to be, because we are heading to Christmas, right? So Christmas special recipes are on the line. And also this video was brought to you by Learning Mind Zone. So Learning Mind Zone provides you much clear understanding in Tamil and Sinhala languages. So subscribe to their channel, which is also given in my description box, and enjoy learning. So again, thank you for watching this video, and bye for now.